Texas, 1943. The sun does not forgive here. It burns down on a line of trucks. And inside those trucks sit men in gray wool, chained wrist to wrist, soaked through with sweat.
One of them is 19 years old. His name is Erich Vogt.
3 weeks ago, he was fighting in the sand outside Tunis. 2 weeks ago, he surrendered.
1 week ago, he was in the dark hold of a ship, listening to older soldiers whisper.
Sie werden uns zuerst schlagen, dann verhungern lassen.
Woher weißt du das? Jeder weiß es. Erich had been taught this his whole life. The enemy is cruel. The enemy has no mercy. He braced himself for pain.
Instead, an American soldier stepped forward with a clipboard, checked a number, and pointed. They handed him a clean uniform, soap, and more food than he had seen in 3 years. He sat down and waited for the moment the trap would close. The moment never came. But something else was already waiting for him inside that camp. Something far more dangerous. To understand what happens to Erich, you have to understand what he wanted when he arrived.
He wanted one thing: survive as a loyal German. Say nothing. Trust no one.
Home, for Erich, was a small street in Münster. A bakery on the corner.
A mother who wrote him letters in careful, small handwriting.
Every poster, every teacher, every radio broadcast had told him the same thing. Germany was destiny.
A train platform in Münster, 3 years earlier.
Komm nach Hause, Erich! Was auch immer passiert, komm nach Hause!
He meant it completely. The way only a boy who has never had to break a promise can.
That was the plan. A simple plan.
Bleib ruhig. Beobachte. Warte auf das Ende. Geh nach Hause.
It was also a plan built on a version of the world that was about to fall apart. Piece by piece. Right in front of him. He didn't know it yet. But the boy who wanted to go home would not be the man who left this camp. 2 wars were happening inside that camp. Only one of them made it into the history books.
The first war was outside the wire, Germany against the world, slowly losing.
The second war was inside the wire. And it was between the prisoners themselves.
Wir sind immer noch deutsche Soldaten.
Brandt led a group of true believers. Men who watched their fellow prisoners for any sign of doubt.
A prisoner named Weber traded cigarettes for extra soap, laughing with a guard for a moment too long.
That night, Brandt's men called Weber before them in the wash house.
There was no trial. There was only a warning, delivered with fists.
Quiet enough that no guard heard it.
Erich watched Weber walk stiffly across the yard, one eye swollen shut.
Das passiert, wenn man vergisst, auf welcher Seite man steht.
Erich counted 4 more men disciplined the same way. Always in the dark. Always the same unspoken message. His real conflict wasn't fighting Americans. It was fighting what he was starting to believe.
If Erich wanted to survive with his old beliefs intact, he had a lot working against him.
The camp gave him more freedom than fear. Soccer games on Sunday afternoons.
A newspaper, printed by the prisoners themselves, that carried real news from a war Germany was clearly losing.
Twice a week, the camp offered classes on American history and democracy.
In this country, a man can disagree with his government out loud and still go home. Und wenn wir das in Berlin sagen würden?
I didn't say it was easy to believe. I said it was true.
Erich said nothing that day, but he wrote the instructor's words down later. Sentences he could never say out loud, hidden safely at the bottom of his footlocker.
The Americans showed the prisoners films. Films of camps that were not POW camps.
Films Erich desperately wanted to believe were lies, propaganda built to break German morale. He told himself it was a lie, over and over, until the lights came up. Nobody spoke as they filed out. For the first time, even Brandt's men walked out in silence. And letters from home kept arriving, each one shorter than the last, each one more afraid.
And watching over all of it, always, were Brandt's men, waiting for Erich to slip.
Camp life had its own rhythm, and it was nothing like what Erich had been told to expect.
Roll call at dawn. Work in the fields by mid-morning, for those willing to take it.
The camp ran on a simple rule: no work, no eat. Extra rations were only for those who earned them. Most men worked. The work broke up the boredom. And boredom, Erich was learning, could be its own kind of prison. On Sundays, 2 teams took the dirt field behind the barracks for soccer. Guards and prisoners sometimes mixing on the exact same side.
The camp newspaper, printed on a borrowed press and passed hand to hand.
Carried headlines the men in Brandt's circle insisted on calling lies, right up until the day they stopped insisting. Tension will only wear you down faster than the labor. You should try reading.
Ich lese keine feindlichen Bücher. Es geht um Flüsse. Ich glaube nicht, dass der Mississippi dein Feind ist. Was liest du dann? Niemand sagt dir, was du denken sollst. Sie erzählen nur, was passiert ist.
Erich didn't know it yet, but that quiet man in the library was about to become the most important person in this story.
Hugo Baumann was older than most of the men in the camp, closer to 30 than 20. Quiet. Careful. He talked to the American guards more than the other prisoners liked.
Erich and Hugo shared a bunk area. Erich watched him mend a shirt by hand.
Warum sprichst du so mit ihnen? Als wären sie einfach. Menschen?
Weil sie einfach Menschen sind, Erich.
Das ist gefährlich, das hier zu sagen.
Schweigen ist auch gefährlich. Man merkt es nur später.
You sound like a man who has already decided something. Ich habe in Frankreich Dinge gesehen, bevor ich gefangen wurde.
Sagen wir einfach, ich habe aufgehört, mir bei vielem sicher zu sein.
Brandt didn't need proof to act. He only needed suspicion.
Later, Brandt blocked Erich's path near the barrack door.
Pass auf, welche Bücher du trägst, Vogt. Und mit welchen Männern.
To a man like Brandt, doubting Germany wasn't just dangerous. It was the one thing he could not survive losing. What happened to Erich over the following months didn't happen all at once. It happened in small pieces.
Summer, 1944. The prisoner orchestra refused to play a concert with the American flag hanging behind them.
It was a small act of defiance, the kind Brandt's men encouraged and quietly celebrated.
Take the flag down.
Sir, you don't have to gay. Regulations don't require you to bend on this.
I know I don't have to. I'd rather have music than a fight I don't need.
An American commander, choosing to bend rather than force a fight. It made no sense to Erich.
A few weeks later, working the cotton harvest, Ruth Whitfield walked the fence line.
Peach. My mother makes it every summer.
Thank you.
You've got sunburn on your neck. You should tie something around it.
Nobody has told me to take care of myself. In a long time.
She looked at him like he was simply a tired young man, not a monster, just a person. That same week, a letter arrived from his mother. It talked about ration lines and bombed streets.
There is less of the Germany you remember, she wrote. Do not hurry back to find it.
Niemand verlangt, dass du etwas laut sagst. Denk nur darüber nach.
Here is what Erich did not understand yet, but you probably do.
He kept waiting for the trap. He kept waiting for the Americans to reveal their true cruelty.
He kept telling himself the flag, the kindness, the food, all of it was some kind of performance. Meant to lower his guard before the real punishment began. He was looking for danger in exactly the wrong place. Erich lay alone at night, wrestling with the contradictions.
Es ist nicht echt. Nichts davon ist echt. Sie wollen, dass wir unvorsichtig werden.
Think back to Brandt's warning outside the barrack door. Don't cross me, soldier, or you'll regret it.
Think back to every quiet threat that had happened right in front of Erich, long before he was ready to admit it. Think back to Coleman's small nod at the gate on the very first morning.
The danger was never the Americans.
The danger was already inside the wire with him. And it was getting closer to Hugo every single day.
While Erich argued with himself at night, something else was quietly happening. Something that would matter more than he could possibly know.
You work harder than most of the boys they send me.
I want to go home someday. Hard work makes the day shorter.
Smart way to think about it.
Over the harvest season, Erich and Tom Whitfield built something small. Not friendship, exactly. Trust. Built slowly, in silence. One long day of work at a time.
Had a boy myself. Younger than you. Pacific. Never made it home.
Es tut mir leid. I'm sorry.
Me too. Some days I don't see the enemy. I just see somebody's son.
Papa, is this the one who thanked me properly for the preserves?
Didn't know there was an improper way to say thank you.
There isn't.
It made the quiet trust he was building with this family feel like something whole.
He didn't know why he was building this trust. He would understand later. So would you.
In early 1945, a guard's shortwave radio was discovered missing.
Jemand hat den Amerikanern gesagt, wo dieses Radio versteckt war. Jemand redet!
Erich watched Brandt's eyes settle on Hugo and felt something cold move through his chest.
Hat das Radio verraten. Ihr wisst alle, was jetzt passiert.
Erich lay in his bunk and thought about warning Hugo. He told himself it was fear.
He never moved. He heard it from 2 barracks away. A door, muffled sound, then silence. Warning. Hugo survived. But Erich never forgot the sound of that silence.
Warum hast du nicht aufgehört, mit ihnen zu reden?
Weil ich entschieden habe, dass die Wahrheit es wert ist.
Ein Dorf in Frankreich. Ich habe die Schüsse nicht abgegeben. Ich stand nur da.
Das ist der Teil, den ich nicht vergessen kann. Nicht, was ich tat. Was ich zuließ.
Sieh dich an, Erich. Du bist derjenige, der nachts wach liegt. Ich schlafe gut. The war ended in May 1945. By early 1946, the trucks came to take the first prisoners home.
Erich's name was near the top of the first list. He had 3 days to decide.
Hier ist ein Mann, der vor 2 Monaten an Fieber gestorben ist. Niemand hat es geprüft.
Zeig mir seine Akte. Wenn das unter uns bleibt, wird es niemand bemerken. In a camp emptying out fast, counting men rather than faces, it was close enough to work. Erich worked one final week under a name that wasn't his. He gave nothing away.
Bleib ein guter Deutscher auf dem Schiff nach Hause. Man hört schnell von denen, die es nicht tun. Das habe ich vor. Du steigst nicht in diesen LKW.
Nein.
Gut.
Sieh nicht nach mir zurück. Mir wird es gut gehen. Ich komme immer klar.
You sure about this, son? I've never been sure of anything more.
We're one short. Search the barracks anyway. I want a name.
Erich got what he wanted. He got out. He got free. But freedom didn't feel the way he thought it would.
Free from a Germany that no longer matched anything he remembered.
But he could never again say his own name out loud. He could never write home.
The boy who had once dreamed of a bakery on a small street in Münster
now stood in a field 1,000 miles from anyone who had ever known him.
He understood that dream was gone the moment he chose not to board that truck. He thought, sometimes, of the promise he made his mother on that train platform 3 years earlier. He had kept it, in a way she would never learn, and never quite forgive if she did. Freedom, it turns out, isn't always the same as going home.
Sometimes freedom.
Every piece of Erich's story led here. The flag that came down instead of forcing a fight.
The peach preserves passed over a fence line.
The letters that grew shorter and more frightened.
The slow trust built with a Texas farmer who had already lost one son to the war and chose not to see an enemy in another man's.
None of it was separate.
All of it built toward the same moment, a boy standing at a gate, choosing not to go home.
Even Brandt played his part without meaning to.
Every warning he gave, every man he had beaten in the dark,
taught Erich exactly what waited for him on the other side of that ocean. Somewhere in Germany, a family kept a photo of a boy who never came home.
His mother waited by the door every spring for a letter that never arrived. Eventually, she stopped waiting and simply carried the not knowing with her for the rest of her life.
Under a name that wasn't his, on land that eventually became his own.
Tom never asked him to stay. In time, the fields he worked as a stranger became family. He got everything he thought he wanted. He was free. He was safe. He was alive. He never learned what became of Hugo Baumann after the trucks left.
He never wrote to Ruth, though he thought of the peach preserves more than he admitted. He simply built a quiet life on quiet land and let the rest of the world move on without him. Years later, an old story made its way back that a young guard named Coleman had noticed and simply signed the paperwork. Whether true or not, Erich chose to believe it anyway.
And some nights, standing alone in that same field,
he wondered if the boy who came off that ship in chains ever really made it out of the camp at all. Or if some part of him was still standing behind that wire, waiting for a war that never really ended.